Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night feature match on a 30-minute delay. I am NPC, and we are going to have a pregame show here, and we're going to with Booth and Harmony Giant talking about the Decapi-taters and Tempest. So let's find out a little bit about these teams. Tell me a little bit about the Decapi-taters.
Yeah, so Decapi-taters formed the season. They're part of the Starch Esports, so got your Steel Team Spuds, you got your Fighting Potatoes. This is their trans-tier team, of course. The core of the team's kind of centered around the Steel Team Spuds from last season. You got Laser Blitz, Absol, you have Choki XE, who's now their captain, kind of took up this leadership role for the team now for them. Have a couple of coaches still around. They have Merited that's remained for them, been a fantastic coach for them, a big help. And really, I've been told, the leadership's really been the driving force behind the team so far. It's been a slow start, they're 0-3, but if you look at the games, 2v3 versus Blixies, 2-3 versus Poison Hazard, and then had a rough game against Alpha, but Alpha's top 3 team in the tier, and we all agree upon that. So, this is a team that's turning in the right direction. They have a couple of recent additions. It's got Monica and Delphi on support, which is 2 very big pickups. And, I think the team's really kind of on the right path now, getting things turned around.
Okay, all right. So, Harmony Giant, tell me a little bit about Tempest.
All right, Tempest is a strong team just as well, just like the Decapi-taters. Tempest started as an affiliate to Maelstrom. They're part of the Storm org. They were started by Nagisa and Iconic. They had some couple carryovers into this season, like Nagisa, Shadowfang, and Iconic, and they added players like Panda Games, Cryptic, and Placebo from the former Exodus. Strong team, a lot of strong players, lots of vets on the team. Should be a good team to look out for moving forward.
All right. So I want to find out about more of the individual players on the Decapi-taters. Who do you think would be the MVP, Booth?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Abstract. Playing DPS for the team. Played for Lightspeed last season. Really strong on the hit scan roll. Their flex has been really strong for them here so far. I'm going over the Tracer, but really going to whatever the team kind of needs. Very team-oriented, team first. Has huge fight shifting with ultimates, and really works. This balance is great with Abstract. They're a great DPS duo. Abstract turns things around for their team in these momentum for fights so well.
Abstract, the one-man DPS duo. You heard it here, folks. All right. Well, Harmony Giant, who's the MVP of Tempest, do you think? Is it Cryptic Force?
No, actually. So my MVP for Tempest is Panda Games. Panda Games last year had a meme was to stand Panda Games last season because he was so good. Great shot caller and a team leader. And that's that. I'll take that all day as my MVP.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Shot caller, team leader. All right. So on the Decapi-taters, who is going to be the workhorse? Who's going to be the player that does the most work kind of behind the scenes for the team?
So this time it's actually a couple of duos. It's not actually one person that's acting as 2. They're telling me it's the support line. That's really the workhorse that's fighting here for the team. Absol's been with the team since day one, has been so committed, is a very vocal leader for the team. But I'm told Delphi and Monica have really stepped into this role as well for them. The communication has really improved, let alone improving the talent for the team, but has really kind of centered the team a lot more. And they've said they've really noticed it with these recent pickups here. So workhorse goes to the support line.
Support line. Awesome. All right. On Tempest, who do we think is the workhorse Harmony Giant? And is it Cryptic Force?
So I'm going to stay with the topic of being on support lines, but I'm going to pick one person, and that person is Placebo. The main support. Unfortunately, no.
Good.
Placebo, the main support, drives the team energy, heart and soul type of the team. And I think that they definitely, especially being on support, you need to have that workhorse mentality, and they do a great job of it.
Okay, absolutely. All right, so let's go back to the Decapi-taters again. I want to find out who's their most underrated player. Who's the player that nobody talks about, but this player is actually doing a lot of good work out there in the game?
So it's not going to be. It's underrated for this, and we kind of talked about it on the podcast on Monday. But I'm going with Kingdom. Return of the King, everyone. If you've been around the community, you know. Kind of relatively unnoticed, probably due to the fact that there hasn't been the greatest start for the team, but solid as ever. I mean, relentless energy, huge hype. Old teammate of mine. I can only speak great things about him and how much he brings to the team. Really, I mean, brings a leadership role in ways you wouldn't expect or think you would need on a team, and really proving that right now. It has to be going down one of the greatest tanks in the history of the community, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, such a storied line. It's great to see them playing again under the Tranquility name.
Absolutely good to have Kingdom with us. All right, on Tempest, who is the most underrated player, and why is it Cryptic Force?
So you would think that having not picked Cryptic Force for the last two, that I would pick Cryptic Force here, but you'd be wrong. I'm going to pick brother to Panda Games, which is Pug Life, new to Tranquility, and they're an outstanding hit scan DPS, and I think that they definitely need some recognition moving forward. And that's why I picked them as my underrated player on Tempest.
That's good. That's fair, at least.
That's fair. That's fair. Nobody wants to call Cryptic underrated, even Cryptic. All right. So, you know what? Now that we know a little bit about these teams, let's get to predictions. Booth, what do you think is going to happen in this game? This is going to be a big game. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm going Tempest 3-1. I think it's just I think the changes for the Taters are right. I think they're doing the right things. This is the right path. They're really only going to go forward through here, but I think they still need a little more time to get things kind of set in stone. Get some more scrims under the belt with this new lineup. Get used to playing with each other. Get used to your callouts, what you need. But this is the team. Tempest isn't the strongest Tempest we've seen. I mean, they definitely had some falters over this past week. So this could be the time for them, but I think they're strong enough to still pull through here.
Okay, Harmony Giant, do you agree with that? It looks like Tempest 3-1. What are you thinking?
So for this week, I chose Tempest as well, and I chose 3-1. Kind of just to echo, I mean, Booth is a smart man, and I think I couldn't agree more with that pick. The storm's moving through, and I think that the Decapi-taters got to get out of the way.
Okay, fair enough. So why do they lose that one map, and why is it Cryptic Force? That's the question we're about to find out tonight on the feature match. Stay tuned, everybody. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
getting the first pick.
Get three, Pyro, get three with the
Wade Kid putting on a clinic. Whole team's down. Oh!
Experience tranquility.
Good evening, Overwatch fans. Welcome back to the Overwatch Tranquility community with our Wednesday night feature in Aurum Group B between the Decapi-taters and Tempest. There are rough waters ahead for the Decapi-taters, sitting at 1-2 so far, as Tempest is currently undefeated. However, Tempest can't underestimate the Decapi-taters, or they could quickly find themselves in over their heads. Every map matters right now, and you know these teams will be fighting for every scrap they can get. My name is Keelan Miles, on tonight with the fantastic Captain Jack. Jack, how are you feeling about the matchup tonight?
Honestly, this matchup is one for the books for sure. Tempest and Decapitators are both Trank teams that, although Decapitators new this season, like the members of the team have been around for quite some time. So we're going to be seeing a lot of familiar faces tonight. These people have probably scrimmed and played one another an enormous amount of times over the past year or two. And so I will not be surprised if this is an absolute barn burner tonight. So go ahead. I know you're already out there. Get it started. Those hashtag map fives, folks, because I think even though Decapitators have been having a really hard run lately, their run isn't that they've been facing the easiest teams in the Transcendence tier as well. I mean, you know, just looking at their history right now, they've faced off against Alpha, who is also undefeated. They've faced off against Blinkies in a really close match between the two of them. So it hasn't been an easy climb, but you know, Tempest being new to the Transcendence tier might, even though undefeated, just give them the edge that they need to be able to come out with the victory, although it be it a very close one.
Yeah, Tempest definitely feeling good about this one so far, but you can never underestimate those 1-2ers. I mean, come on. When you have a tough early season like that, it's easy to let it get in your head. But for experienced players like this, I can't imagine that would happen. That's something that happens maybe your first time around in a tournament, never right now.
True, but you know, I really feel like we talk about all the time. It truly is anyone's game until it gets played. You know, as you saw in the pre-show, we have our predictions. We have where we're sitting. Personally, I feel like Tempest might be able to pull away with it, but again, these teams are incredibly stacked. And Decapitators just this last week have been making some absolute power moves, adding to their roster. Let me just go ahead and see Manaka being added to the roster of Decapitators last week. You know, Delphi, TMXM, like these are some big names that originally haven't been on the team until this week. So with those change up to the roster, we might be seeing a very different Decapitators moving forward.
And with those new roster changes, Jack, how are you feeling about the Decapitators and just in general? Because with the recent Open Division coming and going, which saw you on the grand finals there.
Shucks.
But that gave a lot of teams a better idea of what the meta is right now. How do you feel about these teams' capability of playing within that meta?
I mean, to even still say that there is a meta is very hard to even. Yeah, it's very much in those quotes right there, Kilo. Because the meta is it really comes down to the specialties of the team right now. That obviously there are heroes that are a lot stronger than others. Running your Echo as that major DPS buff is huge. Your double bubbles, your ball diva dive. Compositions like that right now are really big in the meta, supposedly right now. But we've also at that high tier of OD play seen a lot of brawl compositions come out really huge. Using the monkey the monkey ball or the monkey rind, or even just the traditional ball with the rind Zarya with just some heavy hitters on that DPS line. So honestly, there's a lot of things that we could be expecting going forward. Our first match of this week, as is for all the matches this week, is going to be on Elio. So I wouldn't even say the meta even matters at this point, because Elio's 3 out of the 3 maps are all environmentally based, and you can get a lot of eliminations just by making sure that that person takes that one step, holds up that sign, and looks right down, and is unfortunately sent right back to spawn. So if either of those teams can take advantage of those environmental kills better, it won't matter what the meta is, because they're going to be able to take control and take Elios away to start off our night.
Yeah, I am, to be honest, quite excited, because you usually see, like you said, a lot of those more mobile compositions on Elios, not because it's better. Oftentimes, Brawl is sometimes better on Elios, but sometimes you want to run the Winston just in case that boot comes out, because one mistake, one little pebble on the ground that you trip over, and boom, you're out of that map. Pretty much the fight is over. Because it's usually the tanks up in front who are going to be targeted by the Lucios, by your Wrecking Balls, and if they go down, it's never a pretty sight.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a lot of what we've been, what you've been seeing at that high level of play, is that you got to remember that on top of the tanks and the DPS being incredibly mobile, many of the times the healing team that's being chosen for these maps are Briggs and Yada. Surprising, right? Not the kind of healing composition that you would think would be coming out, but the reason is that the focus isn't making sure that the healing is staying strong necessarily for the team. It's that the damage is at its absolute maximum. They're looking to maximize the amount of time that it takes for them to get from spawn to the point and get as many eliminations as quickly as possible, using those Discord orbs to call out every single hero that's being focused, and then using the Brig to be able to defend the Zen if there's a dive on the backline. It has been the big plays thus far, but again, we're not exactly for certain. This is the first time we're seeing these two teams out in the public eye, so to speak, to really get an idea of what kind of compositions that they are running. But nevertheless, at this level of play, you're going to be seeing some of those high-level strats for sure.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on the Brigitte players, because building a fast rally is really important, because like you said, not having a lot of healing is kind of a crutch for these teams. It's hard to operate around it, but we're not going to be dealing with that at all from the looks of it. I mean, unless they do some last-minute swaps, this is quite interesting. A lot of AoE here with the Lucia Baptiste.
Yeah, definitely really interesting. We are starting off on the Ruin, so I can't say that I'm really surprised by that. You're not going to get a lot of value out of the environmentals as you would on Lighthouse and Well. And I can't say that I'm surprised by this either. The double shield Theorissa is making a huge comeback right now since her recent buff with the no headshots during her protect. So it's going to be interesting to see how these work out. Whichever team bunkers down first is probably going to be the one to take this objective.
And you can see they're fighting for control of this high ground, because then you can just shoot right over the shield, holding their ground. Shadowfang not giving up an inch of space, and eventually Immortality Field forced on the side of the Decapi-taters. But they've taken their hold on the point, forcing Tempest to come to them. Their rotation of the point left something to be desired, but choke going down means they're not going to be worrying about that too much, as behind Cryptic Shield and behind their hammer, they are swinging away just as they please. even that amplification matrix will not save the members of the Decapi-taters as they're sent back to spawn by Tempest.
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest issues that they were having with that composition, is that, you know, you have to decide as a Baptiste, do you want to use the amp matrix to amplify damage or amplify healing? And it looks like Monaco was setting that up for big heals, but now, as you can see, Nagisa is taking it on the offensive.
Yeah, and that is going to pay off big time right now, but that one kill might not be enough as Luca does go down. Choke.exe is going to... Ooh, 2 kills already, especially onto that main tank. Their healer's keeping up, but Icon coming from the side, but Iconic shut down by Kingdom, and that's going to be the flip for the Decapi-taters.
That was an absolute huge move by the Decapi-taters right there, running out the time for that amplification matrix and then allowing themselves to use that Lucio speed boost to move their way in and take advantage of the objective, and kind of the lack of defense is huge, but this Blizzard is going to be paused.
Yeah, especially as that immortality field broken, but Panda Games coming in. They get stunned out of it, but that's not going to matter too much as they still created enough space to save their tanks, and now Cryptic and Shadowfang leading the charge onto the point without Choke.exe there to shut down the push with this Shatter. I'm not sure Tempest are going to have to commit. Well, they don't have anything else to commit. They just use their last ultimate, and Decapi-taters, even though they might lose the point here, they do have a nice arsenal to take it back with.
Absolutely. Even though we're hitting like this 50% mark right now, there's plenty of time for the Decapi-taters to be able to turn this back into their favor. Tempest is really going to have to be working on farming up those ultimates and making sure that they stagger them properly so that the Decapi-taters don't just make this huge investment early on.
Oh, and that cool Fire Strike Amplification Matrix combo gets all of the Decapi-taters down below half health, and, well, the rest of the team is happy to clean up. Tempest, clean execution right there for an easy fight win, and even out the ult economy right away.
Yep, that's exactly the kind of ult usage that you want to be seeing there. Being able to combo the Holt with that amped Fire Strike does a massive amount of damage that even your best healers are not able to get back into your favor so quickly.
Yeah, that's the problem with Baptiste Lucio. They're not burst healers, they're over time, and time is something they don't have, as this Supercharger is going to make it so the time is cut short for Tempest. They're not able to get back to their healers. That is a clean team wipe for Decapi-taters, but now they find themselves in the same spot Tempest just was in.
Yeah, that actually put them in a rough position. The investment of the Supercharger with that Deadeye. I mean, Deadeye's already deadly enough as is and can take down a majority of shields with just 1 or 2 heads behind it. But sending that in with that bongo is just absolutely huge. But now without those ultimates online for this next fight, it might be hard for them to hold on.
An early Shatter catches the 2 DPS way out in left field, a little aggressive, and that's not going to be in their favor. Not going to get any punish for that as the sound barrier lets Tempest surge onto the point. It's going to be dicey if Decapi-taters are even going to be able to get back.
We're under that 10%, so we might be starting to see some stall compositions coming out here rather quickly. As you can see, Choke opting over to that ball, just barely able to tick it into overtime.
And the overtime is important, but with Panda Games dropping that Death Blossom, getting rid of Absol, it gets rid of a lot of the team's ability to get back there in time. Even Monaka's Amplification Matrix cannot save them because Nagisa's got one firing right back at them as Tempest goes up 1-0 on Ilios.
That was an absolutely great show of ultimate balance right there. Being able to realize when the ult investment is at its absolute peak and not over-investing is exactly what you want to see from teams at this level. For the Decapi-taters, it may just be that they need to invest a little bit more into those stall tactics. You know, they really caught Tempest off their on their back foot when they ended up using the amp matrix early, and they just kind of waited and baited it out. If they can utilize that as we head into well, it might work out in their favor. But I mean, we're on well. I wouldn't be surprised if Placebo and Absol just find themselves on the enemy side of the map to get those eliminations.
Yeah, but Absol might have a friend with them, as Abstract is over to the Tracer, which could give a nice opportunity to annoy the backline of Tempest. They gotta watch out for Iconic, though. The Immortality Field already burned on the side of Tempest, but they're not really worrying about that, because they got the kills, they got the value they wanted from it. As, Cryptic sent Absol off the side of the map. Might have just been a reset right there, but oh man, it feels good to get revenge.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I've been noticing a lot with Ryan's hammer lately is that depending on where you are in the air, if you get caught by that hammer, you can actually get booped a decent amount. And, you know, it only takes being a little far away from that inner wall of the well to end up finding yourself at the bottom of it as Lucio.
And, well, gonna be playing inside, so don't have to worry of too many boops, but Tempest still gonna have to play this carefully, using this, oh man, a massive shatter. It doesn't matter how that Ant Matrix is, only gonna make the cleanup easier. Absol's gonna get Pandal games on the way to the reset, but that's the only victory afforded to them.
Cryptic, J, Force, they have families. Woo, man. And that's exactly how this bunker, this double shield composition is going to work out in their favor. You utilize the well when you are able to, but a majority of the fight is actually going to happen off the objective.
Well, that's where Tempest are going to be fighting, as they're forced right off the objective by that amplification matrix. As now it's going to be percentage ticking up for Decapi-taters as long as they can draw this out, or they can just clean out win it, as they do have the ultimates to do so, but it's going to be tough to invest these wisely right now. You can see Hunger for the Boop right now, but Iconic is going to lose the McCree duel. That Supercharger going to give Tempest a lot of point presence, as Iconic on kind of a rampage right now, pressuring them as the shields fall lower and lower for Decapi-taters, and the team crumbles as well.
The biggest issue that you ended up seeing with the amplification matrix coming out from Monica is the aspect that they didn't take the space along with it. Obviously, you want to have your heavy DPS characters that can shoot that long range, like your Orisa and your McCree, utilizing that amp matrix, but the rest of the team needs to be making space on the objective so it doesn't get taken back as soon as it's over.
And trying not to make that mistake this time, but oh, Panda Games burning right through every resource. The Decapi-taters had so many instant fight wins right now from Tempest. They've been clean with their cleanups.
And it's really coming down to that final fight territory. You know, Laser Blitz now moving over to that Tracer. They're not going to have the stun ability to make sure that Panda Games can't pull that off again, but they will trigger overtime.
Yeah, but they gave everything just to get on that point, and even though one remains, Manaka is going to be forced off of there soon enough. Absol, they have that sound barrier, but when are they going to get a chance to use it? They need a rollout of a lifetime and a boop to go along with it, and I don't think they're going to be getting either of them, as Tempest goes up 1-0 in this series. Decapi-taters looking at the loss there for a while.
Yeah, and you know, that might just be the additions to the team. Unfortunately, when you add people to the team, it does throw off the synergy just a little bit. So, you know, if Decapi-taters are still trying to get their footing with the new members of the team, regardless of how skilled they are, it might end up being their undoing tonight if they can't figure out how to balance that skill with coordination and communication.
Yeah, and that really is the kicker, and it always feels bad, but if you treat this as a learning opportunity and learn as fast as possible, maybe you can catch up, do some last-minute studying, and turn this around in mid-series. We could see this go completely the other way, even if Tempest gets another point on the board.
Yeah, I mean, we never count anyone that ever counts out a team this early in the season. I mean, even in the playoffs, I mean, I've made that mistake myself last season with the Flying Lions. Again, Cinnamon, I'm so sorry, all right? Just stop reminding me and bringing it up in my own head to myself. But nevertheless, we have seen teams come back from the brink of being eliminated from this tournament and just absolutely outshine because of those big aspects of communication and coordination. So, if this is a learning moment for Decapitators, I hope that this is a speed run through those 12 years of schooling that they need to be able to get to that level. Because right now, Tempest is showing that they've got that coordination on lock.
And it is kind of weird to say it about a control map, which is genuinely viewed by the community as a little more chaotic.
Mhm.
But oftentimes it does just favor, like, if your team is a little unorganized, it's a lot easier to exploit that because you don't really have as much control over where you fight, how you fight. You're just clashing on the point. Obviously, you
Mhm.
saw them try and play the distance game a little bit, but more or less they were just kind of smashing into each other a lot of the time. But going into our next map, it's going to be an assault. Temple of Anubis. They're going to have a lot more control over how they actually fight.
Yeah, Temple of Anubis is going to give them a lot of ability to take control of where fights happen, not necessarily maybe when they happen, especially since Decapitators will be on the defense first. They're going to be able to if they take advantage of the defense, they'll be able to influence Tempest into going the ways that they want them to go, which is exactly what you want to do on a 2CP map. You want to influence the attacking team to go the way that you want them to so that you can take advantage of having them on the back foot the entire time. The only issue that they're going to have there is if they continue to run these brawly compositions, even if you end up seeing them pull out like the Junkrat to create some additional spam damage, or maybe even a Symmetra or a Bastion to try to melt those shields faster. If Tempest ends up getting set up in one of those side rooms to be able to push into Objective Alpha, it's going to be really hard for them to continue to hold it.
Yeah, I agree. So, gonna be looking on these rotations, and the other question for me is, are the compositions going to be the same? I mean, I would say this Orisa double shield spam is generally very good on Anubis, so might just be playing right into Tempest's game plan right now. Obviously, Decapi-taters looking to match it, but it's a little bit better on defense, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, and we might just be seeing some swaps to even longer range characters here. There are lots of different sight lines that can be utilized here as well. I mean, Nagisa is absolutely huge on that Ana, so I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing that on their defense. But it looks like for the Decapitators, we are going to be seeing that Zenyatta Baptiste. So Delphi on that Zen use the Discord orbs to try to see if they can get a pick or two on Tempest as they advance into the objective area. Laser Blitz already right there on that Echo, going to be providing a massive amount of damage with Abstract. The biggest issue that I see here is just Delphi essentially dedicating that Harmony Orb to Laser Blitz to be able to keep them up in this fight. And now as we see the attackers coming in, Cryptic and Shadowfang opting for the Rhine Diva. So they're looking to get in your face and get brawly. So the longer that Decapitators can keep them at a distance, the better they're going to be at holding this objective.
Oh, and with those sticky grenades hitting their mark, this first push is as good as dead. Tempest going to have to go back to the drawing board right now because they win single-handedly if they get on top of Decapi-taters. I don't think Decapi-taters are going to let that happen so easily.
It looks like Panda Games is going to end up finding themselves trapped in this side room right here, which isn't going to allow them to be grouped up with the team. And as you can see, that Maywall was really useful at the beginning of that fight. So now with it being a 5v6 to move in, looks like they'll get that Maywall in regardless.
Yeah, the Maywall from the other side actually proves to be a little more fruitful as it's anticipating where they're going to be looking to shoot. Now, it's going to have to be a quick rotation from the Decapi-tators as, well, they're just going to hold on to this high ground for now, hoping to catch someone in the drop. But with Nagisa going for the Ant Matrix from the high ground. They're going to be able to take out that Immortality Field and Delphi for good measure. That's a lot of the damage out of the picture from Decapi-taters, but a big opportunity for Burst right now. It needs to hit big, but it only gets Cryptic, and that is not enough. As Tempest surge onto the point. 1 tick, 2 tick, and this is as good as theirs. They're going on to point B with a significant time bank.
It's exactly like I called it. If you let Tempest get set up, even though Cryptic has that regenerative shield that they had to wait like a good 5-10 seconds on, you did not see Decapi-taters aggress on them to keep them from jumping down onto the objective. So now that we're on Point Bravo, it is going to give them a lot more room to work. They do have the spawn advantage in their favor this time around, and I mean, these are huge drawing maps, so I wouldn't see this time bank being a boon just yet.
Yeah, and the only ultimate on the field right now is Laser Blitz's Duplicate, which could be useful for shutting down, maybe get a third Reinhardt on the field, and you're going to need that as that Shatter is looking more and more likely as the shield breaks, but it is going to be the Shatter that kills Kingdom, but luckily there's another Rhine right there to contest them. The Diva grenade from the back is going to get rid of them as, ooh, that's a nice high noon. This is a good prime opportunity for Tempest as they haven't even used their Blizzard yet as the stall is coming in. Now, they just need to capitalize. It's 1 tick going for more, and Decapi-taters, they're on full stall heroes. Delphi with the Transcendence could have turned it around, but they couldn't get back to point fast enough. The kills were just too fast. 4 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock, Jack. On Anubis. That is a tough record to beat.
I mean, we have definitely seen faster times, but that puts Tempest in an incredible position right now. Decapi-taters really going to have to figure out how to either contest against the strategy that Tempest is using tonight, or to be able to match it and do better. Right now, the mirror game is just not working out in their favor as much as they would like it to be. And I think one of the biggest boons, or one of the biggest fails that they had with the composition is that, you know, they had the Sigma instead of the Rhine. Like, you're not able to get up in their face and get brawly with them as you would hope. And as you can see, Cryptic is going to be on that Rhine. It's not a surprise. This is something that we know from Cryptic very much. It's either that big old German guy or it's the monkey coming out from Cryptic right here. So Cryptic's going to continue to get brawly. It looks like Choke is going to try to match that coming out on the attack, but Kingdom kind of stalling out, not exactly certain which is going to be the best benefit. You know, using that Diva to try to eat up damage, using the all right, there we go. It looks like we're going to try to counter the counters right here, using the double bubble to try to dive in that backline, get the healers off very early on, especially Placebo going to be providing a lot of value to Canned Potato on that Mercy with the amplification beam that you see right there. So as long as they can get into that backline and get those initial picks, it'll work out well. But ooh, that first one's going to stop us dead right there.
Yeah, that's both supports down, and Manaka getting pulled out of cover like that, it's just so unfortunate to see. Ana, no mobility at all. Is just a fish in a barrel right there. Luckily, it was a very early pick, so Decapi-taters are able to reset quickly, but now Tempest know exactly what storm is coming towards them. As there's the dive coming in. Both bubbles committed immediately, but Cryptic does get purpled. With that anti-healing on them, they're barely going to survive, but Naka does go down. Cryptic trading 1 for 1, main tank for main healer, but Shadowfang is there to pick up the slack long enough for the res to come out from Placebo to extend the lifeline of this fight, as Kingdom just didn't have it in them to continue this brawl.
Yeah, the biggest moves right now that Decapi-taters need to make is getting into that upstairs side room so that they can try to get a better angle on Canned Potato and Placebo. If they can take advantage of that, it'll work out, but Monica right there, just pick after pick, just getting pulled out of cover. Just gotta stay a little bit further away from that Choke.
Hold on a minute, Jack. Laser Blitz. They snuck in behind, and Placebo's going to go down, but Kingdom going down at the same time means that might not be as good, but They do have the mercy for the res if Delphi can just find their way in there, and the pressure is on from Abstract, creating a lot of space. Delphi just using the Valkyrie to help out their team as much as they can, get all that AoE healing, but ooh, all the one-shots coming through that amplification matrix. Panda Games using Nagisa's help to its greatest effectiveness, but Delphi doesn't want to let this fight die, resurrecting the other half of the double bubble just in time to watch Kingdom fall, as this is just one long losing fight for the Decapi-taters, and even though it looked promising, they couldn't close it out.
At the end of the day, it just came down to that focus fire. You know, the dive into the backline was precisely what they needed to do, and that initial pick on Placebo was huge. Not having that res available, not having that power boost, you know, provided a lot of help for them to do that. But then, you know, they literally kind of decapitated their attack. They just all went in different directions, trying to see who they could find and get picks on instead of focusing a singular target. But oh, that is not going to be a good start for them in this push.
Yeah, that might just be a call to retreat right now, as Decapi-taters, their strategy seems to be to overwhelm Tempest with their ultimates, and they certainly do have some powerhouses coming up.
Yeah, that might be enough for them to be able to pull this back, especially Monica using that nano on the monkey. There it goes.
Yeah, then immediate nano boost, but charged away, so even though Kingdom's not going to die, not going to get the full value, Primal Rage coming out right at the end of it, that's going to be good. A lot more single target damage as opposed to the cleave, as Choke.exe lining up, trying to get a good grab in the back, but the Shatter cancels it out. No one can follow up because they're on their knees. Abstract, though, not willing to call it yet, but with both supports going down and only a couple seconds remaining, I think this might be curtains for them.
Yeah, they got one last fight in them, and that was a lot invested just to try to make it work. That pulse bomb or that duplicate has to be absolutely massive if they want to stay in this fight.
And obviously there is potential, but only a couple seconds to work it, and the massive fire strikes of full combo. That is what we have been seeing from Tempest time and time again, cutting the force at its head, as that is going to be it. There is no way to come back. A full hold after that magnificent play, the surprise twist to cut off any chance Decapi-taters had of taking that in the end.
French fries, anyone? Because I'm not exactly for certain what is going on here with the Decapi-taters. They have an incredible amount of skill on their team, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of focus right here. Again, it might be the fact that they've added some new players to their roster and that synergy just isn't there yet, and that's okay. But, you know, it's hurting to watch this because you know that they have so much promise and potential coming into this match, and it's just kind of falling flat right now because everybody's looking for the 1v1 when they should be looking for the 6v1.
Yeah, and Tempest, I know, or Decapi-taters rather, I know they have it in them. We've seen the moments of brilliance come out, the initial disruption on the rotation from Tempest, and like the initial flank that came from Decapi-taters that opened up that big fight, but it never lasts long. There's always an adaptation from Tempest, and Decapi-taters never keep up. They never change it up afterwards, and that really does hurt their chances in my eyes.
Yeah, that's one. Hopefully, not going to be a continuation of the story moving forward, though. So, folks, we're going to throw it to a quick halftime break. We'll be back with more Transcendence tier in the Overwatch Tranquility community in about 10 minutes.
And we are back, everybody, with week 4 of the Transcendence tier. Right now, Tempest, they're showing us why they're undefeated right now. 2-0 right now over Decapi-taters, and it's a convincing 2-0, I'll be honest, folks. But Decapi-taters just had some time to get their heads together, and hopefully they put something together.
Yeah, hopefully they've sharpened their blade and realized the heads that they need to be cutting off are not their own. So let's go. We are going to get ready to see where we are headed next. The first couple of maps were absolutely huge in Tempest's favor. We saw on Elios, they set up with that double shield, the Orisa Ryan. We saw it on Temple as well, that they were able to utilize that on the defense to their advantage a lot. And Decapi-taters, although coming up with huge picks to initiate fights, end up just kind of scattering. Kind of like when you turn on the light and and there's a bunch of like cockroaches or ants or whatnot, they just scatter all over the place. Like that's exactly what we're seeing here. Is that they get that initial pick and then they're like, okay, like let's see if we can get everybody now. And that's not how you play the game. You got to continue to be focusing those targets, making sure that you're getting those call outs and target prioritizing. And we're just not seeing that from the Decapi-taters. And Tempest, they were one of our Discord teams last season. I did have quite a struggle in season 5. We're still able to make it to the playoffs and whatnot, but now got to be looking as one of the top tier Transcendence tier teams for this season for sure.
Yeah, and look at this. This is exactly what we're talking about right now. They all go in, and then boom, 2 picks in the back line because their supports were on the low ground behind. Like, this was just brutal. This, I think, is why Tempest is so good. Calling that so far ahead, they didn't just do that to any team. They did that to a dive who was, like, halfway through launching said dive, and they somehow still managed to kill 3.
Yoink! Pulling them right back in there, and that's some great timing right now. And with the meta where it is right now, it allows for those kind of disruptions. You weren't able to really do that before. I mean, I guess you could if you had a Sigma, and you got the rock off at just the right time to be able to prevent somebody from moving in. But Orisa's halt is so incredibly powerful if it's well timed. That's why pulled pork was an absolutely huge meta for such a long time. Being able to get those yoinks from behind shields or behind cover so often is what made it so powerful. And as we're seeing tonight, it looks like Tempest has created their own yoinking composition to utilize. But as we head into Eichenwald now, for our hybrid map, this is going to be, again, another position that Tempest is really locked into. It's going to work out well for them on the defense, but pushing through that choke might be a little difficult if Decapi-taters decide to cheese this up.
Yeah, I mean, I do have faith in Tempest, though, based solely on their rotations on Anubis. Because the thing is, they didn't do the same rotation twice. They had a mix-up that Decapi-taters wasn't ready for, and Cheese tends to falter when you don't just do the same thing over and over again, and you can't expect that right now based on what Tempest has been showing us.
Oh, true. I wasn't meaning cheese in the sense of they were just going to try to be cheesy. I was meaning cheese more in like bringing out that absolute Gouda cheddar that I love seeing, those bastions and those torbs, whatever that they need to absolutely melt down this composition. Because right now, I think one of the biggest issues that they're dealing with is that Tempest shields are just staying up way too long. Again, we're talking about that focus fire that's been working out so well for Tempest and being able to eliminate those target characters to start things off. But Abstract coming out on the defense with this Mei is going to provide them a lot of space to work with. If those Mei walls are coordinated correctly, especially in mid Tempest rotation, we are going to end up seeing Decapi-taters be able to take a huge advantage of the side of Tempest. But Tempest, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're coming out with that Orisa Rhine, that McCree Reaper composition once again. And as soon as Placebo's got that speed up, they're going to be pushing right through the choke unhindered.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you're talking about. Tempest shields aren't going down fast enough. Decapitator's putting everything in this May wall right now. If they don't get the isolation, the shield war is more or less lost without that Reaper. So you can see so much pressure on Abstract. They're looking for any sort of misplay from Tempest, and they get half of the team. But that might have been a little more than they bargained for, as Panda Games went right in for the distraction play. Delphi is gone, and that is the rest of the team crumbling. Choke.exe gone, eliminated. And it's just all stall right now. A clean fight win from Tempest, besides the Placebo. But just like the pill, you can ignore that one.
40 freaking seconds, folks. Nagisa had window in 40 freaking seconds. Oh my goodness. Nagisa is an absolutely amazing healer, and just seeing her absolutely shine right now. Whoa, what is this rotation?
That's going to be Tempest on the high ground, and shattering right into the shield. It was almost way bigger than it already was, but I think it was big enough, Jack. I mean, come on, you now have dominant control over the second point of Eichenwald.
This is... Wow, I'm just completely beside myself in the fact that they have allowed for this rotation. You know, Shadowfang, though, now alone on the objective, might not be the best place for the rest of Tempest.
But the new buff to Fortify lets Arisen get away, and Shadowfang, they are stabilizing a bit, but Tempest, they are crumbling now. Oh, man. That... without any ultimates, too. Just the shatter right there from Choke.exe was all they needed to open that up.
It was good in theory. It was really good in theory to take advantage of that high ground very early on. But the biggest issue that they ended up leaving was a gaping hole that Decapi-taters were able to move through. If they wanted to be able to take advantage of that high ground, you know, screw the high ground, just hold those chokes right outside of that big old door right next to point 2. That's exactly where you'd want to be, and you would have provided your Orisa lots of space to move start.
Yeah, now this is a nice nice avoidance of another high ground scenario, but it wasn't a clean fight win, especially after that huge blizzard from Abstract, and now Tempest is capitalizing, and this is looking all downhill right now. They had all the freezes in place, but Decapi-taters just could not hold on.
That ended up not working out in their favor this time around, and I think even though they ended up leaving the payload alone, having all 6 members of Tempest there to be able to engage in that fight, you know, Shadowfang able to use the Fortify during the middle of the blizzard to be able to still put some pressure there onto Decapi-taters, worked out really well. Oh, oh yes!
And Placebo going down is good, but that high noon is better. It's trading 2 for 2 right now, and Shadowfang proves to be the hero play, and Orisa on the field where none is to be found on the side of Decapi-taters, and they use that extra space made to get the cart onto the bridge. Tempest, they are in last fight territory on this second point.
Decapi-taters, Lucio, and Orisa, you have to know you were gonna get booped off that side. Honestly, I'm surprised there weren't more of them that fell.
Ooh, but everyone was focused on taking out Abstract in the back line, which meant there was no pressure in the front line, and Decapi-taters never going to let up on that. Oh, Kingdom not going to be caught this time.
Kingdom with the jukes, just able to barely be able to get back onto that edge once again, with only a little bit around 5 meters left to push this objective. Now it is in Decapi-taters' power. They have literally everything they need. The biggest issue that they need to be looking out for is Panda Games possibly trying to teleport underneath them and pushing that card in before they can get back.
And I think exactly what you called is going on right now, but Panda Games hears them. No, they're going for the aggressive play. No C9s for them. They are all on this flank. Oh
my god.
No, this is, you can't let it happen. No, it's just going to be taken down, and now Panda Games has their ultimate farming off of that beefy Orisa, and they're looking to use it, but this amplification matrix is holding Tempest inside, and even though Tempest got all of Decapi-taters off the high ground, isolated Kingdom to be taken down, they weren't able to rotate in time to get the follow-up.
Wow. Wow. Just wow. I cannot believe that. That was just absolutely huge. Panda Games have the opportunity to be able to push the cart in, at least get it relatively close and create space for Tempest to move in, but they didn't. And, you know, I hope it doesn't cost them.
Yeah, they
It was funny, but I hope it doesn't cost them.
Yeah, it was a long rotation right there that might not come back, but oh, if they're able to get the knockdown right there, the peel might not be there. Oh, just teleporting right up to the top though as everyone gets booped off, and now they're just immediately stunned out. Panda Games challenging Laser Blitz, and now that Blizzard is there. Abstract creating the space for their team as Tempest once again caught in the inside. They have the ultimate to get outside though, just trying to push through with the sound barrier, but Cryptic's still caught in here, just being pulled left and right. I feel for you, Cryptic. The CC is a lot, but with only 5 seconds on the clock, Tempest, they might be able to turn this around.
Yeah, it looks like they're able to bring it back in their favor just barely, but remember the spawn advantage is on for the side of Decapi-taters. Ore Abstract trying to make their way out, but no, I don't think they're going to be able. Oh, they do, just barely.
In the 11th hour, Decapi-taters get back onto the point. The High Noon takes out Delphi. That's the main healer gone, but that might not be enough as the Decapi-taters, they have the ultimates, and then they're just throwing them onto the ground. Overtime, burning away faster and faster, and even though the quick rotation from Tempest through the low ground is getting them onto the point, it won't be enough. The recontest was good as Decapi-taters turn this around, showing that they have the gumption to take this series yet, as they hold Tempest on the second point right at the jaws of the third.
Tempest, I know you're undefeated right now, all right? But you can't be giving up advantages like that, all right? That's how you're going to find yourself back at the bottom of the barrel, folks. Yeah, you get a little too cocky and then things just turn around. And I get it. Maybe you want to try out some new strategies or whatnot, but Panda Games just had the best advantage. The entire set of Decapi-taters was focused on the rest of Tempest, and you could have pushed that objective in, given yourself a lot of time and tried some stuff out with objective 3, but having to hold this first point or just being able to having to hold that entire road all the way to the end of point 2 could end up spelling defeat if Tempest continues with these cheesy types of plays that they're trying to make work.
Yeah, I have to assume none of this was practice, because I don't think in practice you would go, okay, so here's the plan. You're going to go up behind them, no one's going to turn around. And then we're going to get everyone with a pull except for the Orisa. And here's the kicker. You are going to take him down. Like, that's not something you practice for. This, to me, shows Tempest is deviating from the plans that got them that full hold. I'm hoping that we're going to see a return to it now.
All right, they're definitely going to need to do so for sure. And it looks like they're going to stick on that May for this push. Let's see if the aggress is enough. Ooh, big ante.
The anti-need from over the top, I believe, and Delphi cracking his nut wide open as Tempest, with no healing for anyone on the team, are just crumbling right now. Nagisa, the Immortality Field was a brief respite, but it will not save them, as that is just as fast of an attack from Decapi-taters as we saw from Tempest.
What did we say in the beginning, folks? We said there are a lot of great players on Decapi-taters, and that the issue that they might have is coordination and communication. If you lower your bar as the enemy team, that means you're only creating space for those 1v1 plays, those star players to shine, if you're letting go of the fundamentals that have brought you to this point.
The star player right now, though, is Delphi. This is unprecedented. These anti-nades and nanos cracking them wide open, and oh man, using that to great effectiveness. Choke.exe on the Reinhardt. You know it, you love it, and it's creating waves right now.
Tempest, I imagine a vision of a person taking their foot and just kicking themselves in their rump repeatedly. That is exactly how Tempest has got to be feeling right now, because, you know, I get wanting to try some new things, but you don't do it when there's stakes on the line. I mean, yes, of course, you know, the score at the end of the day, especially since they are currently undefeated 3-0, might not be a big deal moving forward, but, you know, that map differential could make a huge difference if this continues to be a regular pattern for their team.
Even though they were going for the high ground contest, but even in the 5v6, the ultimate advantage for Decapi-taters
Payload!
As Tempest, even though they're not even winning the fight on the high ground either, as Decapi-taters are winning on the low ground, this spawn advantage is the only thing keeping Tempest in this right now.
They have to be lucky that Absol was the only one on that objective. That Shatter's going to clean it up, but honestly, they probably could have been able to do it without it because of the stark numbers that they had regardless, but oh my goodness. This might turn back into their favor.
The supercharger is making it so hard to stay on the point, though. Every shot is more or less a one shot, as Decapi-taters, against all odds, halftime woke them up, and they are going up 1-2 right now. They have a chance to turn this series around, and it was a convincing turnaround right there.
Yeah, convincing I don't think is even the word that I would use for it. It is, you know, they took advantage, and that's what brought them back into this. I'm gonna be taking a quick look and kind of seeing previous matches for the side of Tempest and see kind of where they have been sitting, because if we continue to see kind of this repeat pattern from Tempest, it could end up spelling defeat for them moving forward. And we do, I guess, kind of see that Blickies, it was a 3-2 matchup between them. Now, Blickies still is an incredible team to be facing off against, but you know, if we ended up seeing this after the half here, I have to imagine that maybe that might have happened between their match against them as well. And you know, if that continues to be a pattern, Tempest aren't going to make it very much further in the tournament once we get into the playoffs, because you're going to have teams, you know, the Whirlwind Wildcats, especially the Ghostly Peppers. Oh my goodness, barely have dropped a map this season, let alone have lost just yet. They're going to take advantage of every single inch that you give them. So I'm really hoping that Tempest is trying to just, you know, get the shenanigans out of their system right now. You know, if they're just trying out new, unique plays, that's cool. Probably not the best time to do it right now. Probably not. You might want to save that for the scrims and see what you can pull off and what you can't.
And, well, oh, we've got it. Oh, man. The entire build-up to that, too, it really does show Decapi-taters might have a little bit farther to go in their awareness, but they definitely are showing their stripes right now. And to me, I do think we have to give a lot of credit to Decapi-taters for cleaning up their play, because this is 10 times better than what we saw on the previous maps. And even if they are just meeting Tempest at the level they were playing, I don't think Tempest was ready to suddenly be faced with a challenge.
Yeah, and I think that one of the focuses that we might see here is just the fact that look at where a lot of the fights that Decapi-taters ended up taking it at. It wasn't in wide open spaces. You know, they were always on kind of these choky areas that they were able to kind of advance and collapse upon them. So if Decapi-taters continue to use speed to their advantage and really kind of box in Tempest to where they have no room to breathe, that could be their strategy moving forward. Tempest now obviously has the map choice going into Escort, and there's still a lot of choky areas, depending on which map ends up being chosen, that Decapi-taters could take advantage of this kind of assault.
Yeah, and specifically, I feel Decapi-taters did amazing on the payload section of the map, splitting the focus of Tempest so well, having one person sit on the cart and using your ultimate advantage to make up for the fact that that one person isn't with you. That made it so difficult for Tempest to make the judgment call. That's why their last fight was so sloppy. They had already lost a fight on the high ground because of the ultimates.
Yeah. And that ended up being a lot of their undoing right there, because you gotta, and that was the issue that we saw with Tempest push, was the fact that they didn't at least leave one person that was pushing that cart while they were trying to take the high ground. And I mean, initially we did see that with the Orisa play with Shadowfang staying on there while they tried to take the high ground, but neglecting to do that during their second push is what ended up costing them a lot of time and a lot of space that they could have made much earlier on in the series. So Decapi-taters, they're using that big wrinkle they got up there to take advantage of what Tempest is leaving the door open for them to do. And I said this could be a barn burner, and right before the half I thought I was going to eat those words, but Decapi-taters, they're bringing it back. They're bringing it back, and it looks like we are going to be heading to Unana, aka Havana, for our next map. This could create a lot of space for Decapi-taters to work with. Obviously, Widow's Bowling Alley is a huge advantage that they can utilize if they pull out a single sniper or double sniper composition. And then if Tempest gets stuck in one of those side rooms, then they got him. They got him closed in. They can collapse on him as they have been, and they can really take advantage of that. So it's gonna be Tempest's turn to see if they can turn the tides here.
And I am really curious as to who would be the one to pull out that Widowmaker, because we've really been seeing a much more close range style of play from all of them. The only team to really come close to going for that long range style of play was Decapi-taters when they got full held and swept. So maybe they've cleaned it up a little bit, but none of the teams have really shown a preference for those long range hit scan.
That is true, and I think that might be why Tempest chose this map, because as you can see, although we do see double snipers on either side for this map, the Ashe Hanzo versus the Hanzo Widow, or at least as of right now from Tempest, maybe that is where another part of their power lies. And as we know, there are very few maps that allow for these really long sight lines that, that speed boost, it can't get you to the end of your goal as nice as you would like it to be. I think the only issue that we might find, well, actually, maybe not. If Cryptic's going to be taking over the horse for this fight, and they'll do this long-range double shield, maybe they're both looking to battle it out long range this time around. It's going to be who gets the picks off first, I guess.
Yep, and Canned Potato going to have the advantage of not having to stick with a Mercy, and I call that an advantage. It more makes them a glass cannon, able to take unorthodox angles, but not having any support to back you up.
Ooh.
But Decapi-taters doing a great job of sticking to this high ground for now as they search for these picks, none of which have materialized quite yet.
Yeah, they're giving up a lot of room here in Widow's Bowling Alley. Abstract looking for that pick on the high ground, but it might not be enough. And now they're going to be shortening those sight lines just a little bit. And the closer that Tempest is able to get, the less advantage they're going to have over that distance.
But there's that angle I was talking about. Boom. One down. Laser Blitz gone, and Absol eats and body shot trying to res them, and they go down as well. Decapi-taters now, without their entire backline to support them, are down. And Tempest, rather, are gonna roll on.
All right, yeah, they took advantage of the fact that a lot of the team was diverted in their attention. Canned Potato able to take advantage of that high ground as they moved past Widow's bowling alley, and then we're able to get those picks, as you said, on those unorthodox angles. And now that we're moving into the brewery, it's going to still provide a lot of space for Canned Potato to work.
Yeah, now no one can hide from their sight as they kindly reminded us. And Healthy is going to be the next to fall. And another one! Add it to the tally! Canned Potato on a rampage. I'm sorry, what was I saying? None of these teams have shown a preference or a aptitude for the long-range DPS. I'm eating those words. I admit it.
Yeah, unfortunately, with 31 different heroes in the game and only 6 per match, you don't always get to see the full scope of what a team can do, but we are definitely seeing it right now. Canned Potato is becoming a little uncanned, if you will.
Yeah, Canned Potato, oh, they are going to go down. Laser Blitz has come out and blitzed the entire DPS line of Tempest, and that gives Decapi-taters free reign to just walk on the point. They don't have to worry about any of those snipers. But coming back from spawn now, Tempest are going for the continued fight. They were able to hold on even after the DPS fell. Now Iconic is on a rampage. This is brutal right now. As Decapi-taters, they looked like they had the answer in that surprise comeback, but now it's kind of stall heroes right now. Laser Blitz coming back on the Tracer just to give this point some extra life, but I don't think it's going to matter as Cryptic sits on point, shooting from the sidelines, and the crossfire is too much for Decapi-taters to handle. Canned Potatoes will go down, but that's the only victory afforded to them as the cart rolls on to the 3rd point.
So again, we're seeing those advantages that are being taken by Decapi-taters. You know, the picks onto the DPS to start things off, that was huge. They could have created a lot of space with that, but you ended up just seeing them hold that second point area, allowing Iconic to be able to get that side off angle. You know, with the power boost from Placebo allowed them a lot of space and a lot of damage to be able to create more advantages for their side to bring it back.
But even with those advantages, it's not going to matter. Even though Canned Potato got one early pick, the rest of the team wasn't able to stick together for long enough to make use of it, as Decapi-taters showing a remarkable amount of determination to hold on even without their snipers covering them.
Yeah, we're back again to another bowling alley example right here. It's really going to come down to them using what little cover is afforded to both sides here. Really a lot more on the side of Decapi-taters with those walls on the bridge. Let's see if they can take advantage of them.
Ooh. There's the 1-2 buckle in the shoe right there as you trade 1 for 1 with the Hanzo, and it's going to be Tempest coming on top just a bit. Even though they are going down a little bit in the kills, they do have the spawn advantage to keep this pushing if they're able to wipe out these tanks. Continue trading right now, but with Cryptic going down, that was a massive restabilization from Kingdom and Choke.exe to give Laser Blitz the cover that they needed.
Yeah, it seems like somebody adjusted the laser on Laser Blitz's arrow right there, because it has just been working out incredibly well in these short sidelines. But now with the abstract off of that high ground, that might provide them a little bit more room to breathe.
That's the thing though, Jack. Abstract is going down almost every single time, and then Laser Blitz takes down Canned Potato, and then every single member of Tempest falls after them. They win the Widow Duel, but they're not able to get the advantage that Widow Duel gives them.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to continue to fight their way in here, and Absol also on that Zenyatta is providing a lot of melting potential for them as well. As you see, the Discords are now the focus of the Decapi-taters. Every time they see one, that's exactly where those shots are going, and that's what we were talking about. You need that focus fire. You need to know exactly who you're targeting and who you're looking to take down. I wonder if Abstract should really just get off of this and see if they can provide help in another way to the team.
Abstract is almost doing their job as a canned potato detector. Just giving Laser Blitz an idea of where the enemy Widow is, and then they can deal with it. But this time Laser Blitz doesn't have the room to breathe or the room to shoot, as the Transcendence is forced out from Absol to save the team from the Griddick Flux. Now the countering Griddick Flux, but it's canceled halfway through by the Rock. Shadowfang taking them down, and now Tempest, they are surging forward, and Canned Potato is uncontested, going for these hook shots. Why not? You're on a rampage.
Yeah, goodness gracious, that really was the linchpin right there, taking Laser Blitz out of that fight. Unfortunately, not moving back with the rest of the team, or the rest of the team at least providing some additional pressure for Laser Blitz to work. And now that they're on that Tracer, it's going to be up to them to try to wear out this objective for as much time as they can.
And once again, Abstract goes down, but Canned Potato isn't satisfied with just one, but Iconic needs to match them. And going for two right now, Iconic eventually gets the lead, and Shadowfang steals the last kill from Canned Potato at the last moment as the team captures the 3rd point of Havana. It's gonna be 54 seconds on the clock before overtime, crucially right now, for Tempest.
Yeah, that is absolutely unfortunate right there for the side of Decapi-taters. They were holding incredibly strong, but just that minor adjustment that they could have made to be able to keep Laser Blitz safe and continue to be able to get those picks just did not end up working out in their favor. I don't know if the Halt didn't get the right angle to be able to pull the rest of Tempest back into the Dragon Strike or what, but it just ended up allowing them to give up a lot of space. But honestly, it's the battle between Canned Potato and Laser Blitz right now. Whoever can get the most crazy off angles when it comes to this attack and defense is really going to prove who is the better sniper of the two.
And right now, I think the key difference from me is when Canned Potato gets shut down, it's because they eat an arrow to the face from Laser Blitz. When Laser Blitz gets shut down, it's they lose the duel, or the rest of Tempest surges onto them. And it's that or that is the kicker, because that show of teamwork from Tempest to capitalize off on Laser Blitz really gives Canned Potato the edge. And, oh, this is a true. What?
No way!
Oh my! Potato? No way!
What? Oh my god! Wow! Even Booth's impressed, folks. Goodness gracious. That was an incredible angle right there and an initial first pick, but it looks like we will get the trade.
Abstract continuing their role as the Canned Potato detector, as this is really brutal for them. The hit scan duo has not been favorable for them. But again, even though they lose Abstract so early on, again going down to Canned Potato, but they're still not able to capitalize. Tempest, they're not. It's almost like Decapi-taters just is prepared to not deal with, to play without their hit scan.
Yeah, honestly, this is, you know what it is? You know what I think it is? I think Abstract is just the distraction to this, you know? Canned Potato is so focused on taking Abstract out when the real person they should be focusing on is Laser Blitz. Like, the one person that's really kind of shredding Tempest right now is the man with the bow and arrow, not the one with the coach gun. So it really needs to, Canned Potato really needs to provide that extra space, being able to find out where Laser Blitz is sooner than continually focusing on taking Abstract out of the fight, unless they know something we don't.
They are holding on remarkably well right now, as Iconic lays down the spam. A lot more passive Hanzo, but it is working out. But Laser Blitz disrupting that, isolating Cryptic right now, can't save them, as now without the Orisa, it's going to be tough for Tempest to stabilize. Abstract finally getting the revenge.
Abstract's like, I'm so tired of this.
But they earned it
Oh
right
man, just probably celebrating that they finally got one right there. But now as we look into ult economy, this is really going to be a make or break for Tempest. They're coming in with a lot of ultimates that could be specially utilized, but unfortunately a lot of their ults require a grouping up in one way or fashion. Let's see if they can make it work.
Insight lets them target it a little more specifically, but doesn't really let them get the kills. And Iconic, winning the duel against Laser Blitz is key. Now there are no snipers on the field, but Choke.exe getting a lot of damage in there with the Critic Flux. Nagisa, though, had that Transcendence on lock. Even though placebo wasn't there, it gave Tempest the health pool they needed to turn this around, but there's a supercharger on both sides. It could get dicey. Anyone could go down at any instant as Decapi-taters. They are not giving up this fight at all, forcing out the Critic Flux very late in the fight for Shadowfang.
I think the biggest issue that they ended up having in that fight was the fact that Choke.exe did not follow up on Iconic. They were able to get them down to half health, but Iconic did not drop down with the rest of the team. And not taking advantage of that ended up being super changing for the side of Tempest. They were able to continue to utilize the strength of Iconic to be able to break shields, take down that immortality field that really would have saved them during that Gravitic Flux. And now they've just allowed Tempest to create the space to be able to hold this objective for the next 3 minutes.
Oh, and Iconic taking out Laser Blitz once again, putting their name in the conversation for snipers. But that's not going to be quite enough, as that amplification matrix turns every projectile into a Hanzo arrow pretty much, as it's eventually going to fade away and Delphi is going to fall along with their field, but not before Abstract and Absol are able to get their revenge. But the spawn advantage right now from Tempest, too much. Oh! Canned potato. Canned potato, are you kidding me? I know it's the cleanup, but come on, and another one! Add it to the list. Oh my word, this is just a highlight reel for them. That's all it
Oh
is.
my gosh. If we don't see this in next week's montage, I'm gonna be really surprised here. But honestly, you could just record all of Canned Potato's moments from this match. Just, you know, as we said before, we haven't seen them on the snipers yet, but obviously Canned Potato is right at home with that sniper rifle.
This is looking really, really nice right now, as Decapi-taters, they're faltering a little bit until Canned Potato does go down. That was a nice discorded one-shot right now, and this is a huge opportunity to Choke.exe with that Gravitic Flux is following up, making sure Laser Blitz's Dragon gets the value that it needs, and it's just Nagisa on point. That's going to be it. Laser Blitz gets the cleanup kills, a 4K for them as well to follow up upon Canned Potatoes, as there's not going to be any recontest here. A couple of minutes left for Decapi-taters to tie up the score on Havana.
That was interesting. I did not expect that, and you know, maybe it's oh! What? What? Wow. I'm done. I'm done with these snipers. I'm done.
Before you become predictable. That's the issue with going for the crazy plays. If they know you're going to go for the crazy plays, they'll cover the crazy angles. That's the key. And I think that has been the main turnaround right here for Abstract and Laser Blitz.
Yeah, that's really what they've been taking advantage of right here. But obviously, Canned Potato still has that ability to get back in the fight and provide that space. But it looks like Tempest giving up a lot of room right here as we see the Gravitic Flux coming out, ends up getting the triple. But the Transcendence going to save that also with the Dragon Strike. Now the Amplification Matrix being utilized to continue to push into this choke.
And Laser Blitz, they know every shot is a one-shot for them, even with Nagisa's Transcendence coming out. But now it's Tempest's turn to fire back, but they're not going to get a chance to, as the Dragon goes right through their field into their team, and ooh, now you got a Hanzo behind you. Iconic might have just taken the wind out of their sails, taking out so many players, and with spawn advantage, this is a very doable recontest for Tempest.
Yeah, right now it's going to be up to Laser Blitz to see if they can match that damage. And now Cryptic opting for the Rhine, now that they're in kind of this brawly area, might provide them the advantage they need.
Yeah, the ball Rhine, I'm not sure if they're going to switch off of this just because 60 seconds remain, but it's not generally considered the best. Yeah, Shadowfang getting off of that for now. It's really only going to be the Dragons and the Inforsight here for the final stand.
Yeah, but remember, that Dragon Strike is going to be huge if Shadowfang can get an absolutely massive ult together. But Abstract getting ready to come up with that Bob, and if they're able to pick off the snipers early on, they don't have the Amp Matrix to be able to focus that Bob down, and if the shields aren't there either, it might provide a lot of space for that big old Butler to get some work in.
Oh, but Delphi, they are just barely saved by their own immortality field, but everyone is so low on the side of Decapi-taters. They need to heal up fast, but there's some nice kills. Abstract finding Decapi-tater, finding Nagisa. This is the opening that they needed. Placebo does have the Ant Matrix, but who's around to use it? Nobody, as they fall as well, and as overtime comes out, Decapi-taters have found the way in to the final stronghold as they tie up Havana 3-3. Obviously, Tempest having a bit more of a time bank, but Decapi-taters keeping themselves in this series yet.
Wow. Just wow. I am beside myself at what these snipers are being able to pull off here. Laser Blitz with just the minuscule amount that you can see that Widow to be able to take them out with that single shot from so far away. Canned Potato, constantly having to charge up that rifle, planning every single click as immediate as they can so that they can get those big old 4Ks. I mean, the DPS line right now are really showing their stuff here on Havana, but it's not over yet, and I don't think that it's gonna be over for quite some time. Both teams were able to get objective alpha very quickly, so I'm not concerned that they're gonna be able to do that. So oh my gosh, I knew it. I can't say that I'm surprised that Tempest is doing this because this is a really smart move. It's all about running down that clock, and snipers are not going to be helping you against a brawly comp like this one.
Oh, but Decapi-taters have the read. They know exactly what's waiting for Matt there. They have the honor. They have the honor to nullify the brawl composition and Laser Blitz to finish it off. This could be brutal right here if Tempest have the raw, aren't able to stabilize fast. Canned Potato, it's all on them to make sure Laser Blitz does not get the value. Oh, but they've already found Iconic. Don't have the May to keep the team up. Can't keep Decapi-taters bottled up inside. And even though Tempest is using this as a grand opportunity to get some ultimate charge, they're still only able to stall up the cart for so long, but that's all you need to do. You're going to get overtime from this, more or less, but it's already maximum energy for Choke.exe, and Cryptic being slept up is more or less done for as the Nano Boost goes out on to Kingdom right there as they swing away, battering and bruising the enemy team. Tempest is out of there as Abstract gets a monumental cleanup.
That was absolutely huge for the side of Tempest. It didn't work out the way that they hoped it would, by the fact that we ended up seeing the read there from Decapi-taters, probably just barely heard the Reinhardt or whatnot voice line just close enough to activate. But as overtime ticks away, it's going to be up to Tempest to make sure they can lock this down.
Grab lobbed into the backline right there, looking for a follow-up, but as Tempest go to do so, they lose Iconic. Now it's up to Cryptic to hit a big shatter to clean this up, and they hit two in the backline, but they're grabbed, they're anti, they have no way to follow up as Abstract's Bob is the hero play, giving their team, making up the man advantage as Decapi-taters, they're going to use this momentum to get onto the second point of Havana.
I think I figured out what Delphi's favorite color is, because it's purple. They are literally painting Havana purple right now, folks. They are using it to take advantage of this brawly composition, and it looks like we're going to see Tempest feed in and trying to see if they can lock it down right here.
But there's the purple Cryptic. No healing for them. Their front line is decimated. No shield at all for the side of Tempest. And you know they're going to capitalize off of that. Laser Blitz is still in the field on the McCree. Even though Abstract does go down, Tempest, they do have to withdraw to a bit safer positioning. I say that until Canned Potato's up behind them.
Tempest need to step back for just half a second and take a breath, as I would tell my 4-year-old. They're looking to try to aggress as hard and heavy as possible, and Decapi-taters are ready for it. They're ready to get in, and they're ready to get brawly, and they're just providing too many openings that Decapi-taters can take advantage of. It's really going to be up to Tempest to come in with a very strong, very heavy push here on this second objective to be able to shut this down quickly.
And that's exactly what we're seeing, that quickness there. But that's a huge purple, the entire front line again. Delphi, the hero play. They are, I don't want to say it, but putting the team on their back. Obviously, Decapi-taters, they have other members doing the follow-up, but Delphi has been the opener time and time again.
Yeah, we're just seeing that advantage coming up too huge for Delphi right now, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised that I'm not seeing Nagisa trying to pull out the same right here. I mean, yes, the bat provides a lot of healing for sure, but those anti-nades are really what are winning these brawly fights.
And now, just like that, blink and you miss it. We're already on to the last point, and it's going to be Iconic back onto that Hanzo. They have a lot of ultimates on display right now, Tempest, and they're looking to use them. The Fire Strike through the Ant Matrix is going to catch Abstract, and now the grab pulls all of Tempest together, and just like that, it's the turnaround. Tempest just used everything, and they got Grav Dragon. Yeah.
Wow. Wowdy, wow, folks. Decapi-taters are not dead yet. As a matter of fact, this is the most lively we have seen them so far is here on Havana. This is Tempest's last chance, last opportunity. Mom Spaghetti on the line as the bomb comes in.
Yeah, grabbed away from the point right there, but not quite far enough for it to matter as Bob creates a crossfire to get rid of Nagisa, not gonna have that enemy Ana on the field just as Delphi gets their nano boost up and going. Cryptic, they are using it to great effect. They are taking out anyone who dares set foot. It's a zone of no walking, no treading, as this, it's gonna be 6 points on the board. 6 points on the board off of only a minute.
Wow.
Decapi-taters, that was... if you, again, after the first half of this series,
Yep.
I am in shock that we're seeing this.
Yep, I am too. And I just envision that person kicking themselves in the rump over and over again. Because Tempest, based on the way that they were playing during the first half, could have easily taken Eichenwald. At very least, could have made it much closer than it ended up being on Eichenwald. And now they are paying for that very, very dearly. I'm not saying that we couldn't see a 6-6 and taking it to a 9-9 possibly here. I know NPC would absolutely love that, as I hear Booth sigh. But based on the way that we're seeing that these two teams fight it out, it's completely possible. And the biggest linchpin that we're seeing right now is between Delphi and Nagisa. Nagisa did not swap over to that Ana fast enough so that they could take advantage of the anti-nades that we were seeing time and time again from Delphi that were winning those fights. If Tempest want to bring this back, they gotta bring it back, and they gotta bring it back hard.
And they understood what was happening, immediately went for the hard brawl right there, but Tempest still sort of trapped in their spawn, gonna make their way out now. The Rhine Diva gonna give them a lot of peel to work with and a lot more front damage, but again, Cryptic caught. And without the Zarya to cleanse the Reinhardt Cryptic, all they can do is retreat into spawn.
Yeah, that's the big difference between the Zarya and the Diva. There is only so much as the Diva that you can eat, and beams are not on the menu, folks. So honestly, right now, Choke.exe is really going to be holding this front line with that supercharged beam, unless Shadowfang and the rest of the team can take them out really early in the fight.
Yeah, but that is the nade force early to use on their own team. Not going to be able to use it aggressively as Kingdom pressure down so low. Tempest finding the opening that they need with only a minute left. But that's the issue. They are now committed to this very short range composition, and they have really nothing to do with Abstract.
Yeah, that's really what it's going to end up coming down to. And honestly, I'm a little surprised that we are not seeing Canned Potato possibly swapping over to that Widow again. Because the ones that you want to keep in your sights are Abstract and Delphi, trying to pick them off as quickly as possible to create that space. Let's see if this brawl continues to work for them, or if we're headed to map 5.
Map 5 seems very likely right now, but that is going to be a nice sleep right there, a big opener, and this is exactly what they needed, blocking that shatter as well, nullifying all of these ultimates, and now Placebo letting Tempest go on forward, have their way with Decapi-taters, but the Nano Boosted Rhyme is going to say no to that. Kingdom doing a great job being the wall for their team until Cryptic hits that shatter, the solo shatter onto them, gets them out of that fight, but Decapi-taters, they are getting the kills they need. Abstract uncontested, just firing shot after shot. Not hitting all of them, but it's enough. The damage is consistent. Has Laser Blitz. It's just such a good crossfire right here. There's nowhere to hide. All you can do is duck and dive, but that can only save you for so long.
Yeah, this definitely is not a dodgeball match right here, and the picks continue to come in. Diva Bomb coming out from Shadowfang, looking to see if they can get that mech back, and they're able to get back in it just barely, but they got to continue to hold on. They got to keep this overtime ticket away. No! The coach gun ends up sending Shadowfang further into the air. That ties it up 2-2 as the Decapi-taters bringing it back after the half send us to a map 5.
And as we said earlier, Tempest have gone to this map 5 quite a few times. They have maybe been messing around a little more than they should. This is a lot of momentum the Decapi-taters have right now. It's going to take a lot to shut this down. Tempest have shown they can do it before, but can they do it now? That's the question.
Yeah, as we said before, Control is incredibly chaotic. And, when we first saw Decapi-taters coming off, they were literally, as the namesake, chickens with their heads cut off, trying to find any pick that they could get kind of on the individual level. They have really reined it in after the second half, really kind of focusing their fire on very particular targets. And that Havana match, oh my goodness, just absolutely huge between the battle between Laser Blitz and Canned Potato deciding who lives and who dies. And then Delphi just saying everybody dies, every fight, no matter what, during that 1 minute push. Actually, it was 10-second push because they didn't even get out of spawn until they only had 10 seconds left. It ended up being very, very unfortunate for Tempest. Again, they had opportunities that they could have taken advantage of much earlier in the series, and this map would have been incredibly different if Eichenwald would have been in their bank tonight as well. But now they're heading into map 5, and we could be seeing their first loss of the season.
And it would be very good for Decapi-taters right now. Down 1-2 in the map pool, getting this win on an undefeated team, it really shows that you're a team to be messed with. And it puts you on the map. That's what you really need right now for a roster that's just coming together, just finding this synergy that they are displaying fully for us right now. This hold right here is exactly what I'm talking about. You see, every single time, Canned Potato, they'd find Abstract, and then the fight would be lost.
Yep.
It would be through teamwork that Tempest would push through these snipers.
So I do want to make a correction right here. Tempest actually are not undefeated this season. Yeah, it looks like they are 2-1. They actually got taken down by and the top tier right now of the Transcendence tier, Alpha, with a clean 4-0. So honestly, now definitely seeing that she's going back to Eichenwald is ooh, man, that's not a good look on you. You are underestimating your opponent way too much to be able to be pulling that off. If you're even though you've been able to win most of your matches so far, you don't want to be pulling that out if you don't think you can effectively be able to finish those moves. So now that we're heading into map 5, we're just awaiting to see what the teams are going to, or what Tempest rather is going to choose going to this next map. We could see ourselves on Busan, or we could see ourselves on Oasis. So both of those maps, there's not a lot of that boot potential that we saw on Ilios, but there is a lot of comp diversity that we can see on those maps. So I don't know. Decapitators were looking really hard before the half, but now it's anyone's game.
Yeah, and the thing I am looking for most from Tempest, if they want to keep this alive, is to punish that rush of adrenaline Decapitators have to be feeling right now. Because you saw at the end of that Havana map, time and time again, the DPS were just sort of playing way outside their shields to get these crazy off angles onto Tempest, and Tempest just wasn't really doing anything to stop them. And to me, that was Tempest feeling the pressure and Decapitators making the pressure, but Decapitators, they left themselves wide open quite a lot. If Tempest is able to take a deep breath and find a way to exploit that, they might have a chance going into our final map, which is, I believe, going to be Nepal.
Yeah, I guess I forgot that Nepal was in the queue for this time around. My apologies, folks. So that does kind of change things a little bit going into this next map, because Sanctum could really be utilized for that boot potential. But if Decapitators don't revert back to what we saw during map 1 and continue this very clean focus fire that we've been seeing from them, Tempest might have a hard time bringing this back.
Yeah, I do have to assume they are ready for this. They look so strong on that initial control map, but we are not on that initial control map. So I'm honestly really curious to see, because I personally don't really have an idea of how Decapitators are going to be playing here, because I don't want to use their performance on that first control map as an indicator of what they're going to be now. Like, it's like comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah, that really is what it ends up coming down to, is how this ends up turning out for both teams going into this map. We've seen Decapitators be able to bring back that focus fire and aggression that we typically see from very experienced, very cohesive teams, and Tempest just allowing mistakes that really they shouldn't have been allowing. It's okay to have some fun, but I gotta keep harping on it that you just created way too many opportunities for Decapitators to take advantage. Now you're on map 5 when really this match should have been done and over.
Yeah, and that is something, as much as you keep bringing it up, you gotta put out of your mind if you're Tempest. If you keep thinking back, if we had won Eichenwald, you're going to lose this. I hate to be honest with you.
The mental game is heavy now.
Like, that's going to be weighing heavily on them, as we're going to be seeing these very brawly compositions. Tempest going for a more pure brawl with the Rein Zarya, as the double shield is going to be Decapitators' favorite.
Ooh, this is going to be very interesting, because as typical we see on this map, it's going to be the Mei Symmetra versus the Symmetra Reaper. And with Decapitators already grabbing the objective, I hate to say it, but this is not going to turn out well for Tempest if they can't get this initial pick.
Yeah, especially with the Mei here, on this point in particular, she's always been meta here. It's never not been, even during GOATs. And that's because these choke points are perfect for isolating anyone from Tempest who dares to set foot inside. But that's a massive opening. Who cares about the Mei? Who cares about the Symmetra? Because neither of them are there after Cryptic wipes them out with the help of Nagisa in the back.
Yeah, they obviously forgot about how quickly Nagisa charges up those amp matrices, and Cryptic just absolutely decimating with the fire strike right through it. Those squishies are toast. With the objective now in their favor, that might be the advantage they need.
Also fast on their ultimate, getting Cryptic down with the Shatter. but they are going to not get a lot of use out of that nano boost as they're all grabbed together. It will be Abstract putting up the wall to save them, but it's a temporary measure. The firewall not going to last long as going all the way in for the finisher.
Cryptic with the dive onto Delphi to make sure we get the finisher right there, but Shadow Fang with that, and I've been seeing this a lot lately with Zarya players going for what I'd like to call the kamikaze Zarya into the grab. You get in the grab, you bubble yourself, and you just start spamming that right click over and over and over again, dealing out damage as quickly as you possibly can. And this Blossom is going to shut down this push before it even starts.
Yeah, paying the games right there, fantastic. Using it to pressure the tanks while also getting a kill of your own, it splits the team better than any Maywall.
Yeah, that's really going to work out well for them, and they have the barrier on line too, but the biggest issue that they're going to be facing coming up here is Abstract's Blizzard. If Decapi-taters can get on that objective and put the Blizzard down, it's really going to turn the tides for them.
Ooh, but that wall is going to come out a little too late to stop that Blizzard, but that's a nice grab into the backline. Even though they do lose Placebo, they have a nice chance to follow up, but there was too much healing, too much sustain from Absol's Sound Barrier to keep Decapi-taters in this. Even though they do lose Choke.exe at the very end, they're going to be back in time for the next fight.
So they've set themselves up in a very good position right here, and I'm actually a little surprised that we're not seeing Decapi-taters hold this choke, hold the objective, Vice holding this high ground. With the Mei, you want to take advantage of the fact that you're on that objective and you can wall people off, and you're not gonna be able to get the angles you're looking for up there on the high ground.
Well, there's Delphi's own, but Kingdom coming down with the Shatter is going to end this fight before it starts. That was pretty unexpected from anyone. That is the advantage of holding the high ground when you should be holding the low ground. The other team knows you should be on the low ground, and they don't expect a hammer from above.
Those Sky Shatters are indeed the piece de resistance of the Rhine kit, folks, and just being able to see what I'd like to call that hero drop right there without an unexpected shield in your way is going to allow them to continue to hold this point.
Ooh, and that's going to be Abstract using that Blizzard very aggressively right now. Tempest, though, respecting it, and now they're going to get the chance to re-engage off the back of this Death Blossom. Looking for one, looking for two, and they see that Lucio. So not going to get away as Panda Games, they are taking this point on their back. Getting the recontest, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to hold on for long. I don't think anyone's going to make it at all as overtime burns away. Tempest showing a chance to take this game after all, going up 1-0 on Nepal.
Yeah, that was a very strong showing right there, despite where their mental should have been after those last two maps. They are full of fire, spit, and vinegar, ready to be able to take this match back into their favor. As we head now into Shrine, we're going to be seeing probably quite a bit of mix-ups here in composition. Of course, we're going to be seeing that Lucio utilized a lot more to be able to speed around to different parts of this objective to be able to get those picks probably a lot faster. The Maywalls I find relatively interesting because there's a lot of different ways to escape from this objective that one Maywall might not provide the value you're looking for. But it could be able to provide a lot of space for your McCree to be able to get those stuns and create room to grow.
There was an error in the rollout, though, and Decapi-taters to find themselves without their DPS for the first couple seconds of this fight. Kingdom going to be pressured down so low. Immortality field already burned away. Now, Decapi-taters barely holding on, but they managed to stabilize throughout that misplay until Kingdom goes down. Now, Tempest trying to play this safe. Don't want to lose anyone. Get overconfident after your initial pick, and they're doing wonderfully at that. Nagisa, oh my word.
Nagisa, oh my.
He has that Ant Matrix.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I literally just watched Nagisa and Delphi's ultimate charge up during that fight. That's literally all I watched. Because just the immense amount of value that those two on that map are getting right now, and just showing how Nagisa consistently over and over again can get that amp matrix ready for the next fight is really showing the value they're getting out of that. And Placebo, come on! Come on!
Now, the entire fight rests on the back of Nagisa's amplification matrix, and they're able to find Abstract. But there's an amp matrix of Decapi-taters' own right now, making sure Tempest can't get the full use out of their own. But with that shatter, they might just get the turnaround they needed, even without their faithful Lucio companion.
You know, that was just the bait. That was the bait right there. You know, I gotta hope that it wasn't just Placebo trying to be cheeky right there and almost costing that map being taken from them, but just absolutely dominant fashion coming out from Tempest right here, and Decapi-taters really just trying to figure out how to rotate against this.
And they are continuing to go for this high ground rotation, but the read is there. But oh, the walled up high noon. Cryptic not ready for that one, and now there's no shield to block that shatter. But that's a high noon to punish on the shatter. The reverse card, and now Tempest with the power of Placebo's sound barrier right there. They are doing a fantastic job of reversing that. The supports get their say in once the tanks fall.
Nagi's obviously tired of not being the one mentioned in the kill feed anymore, so that's just being able to get that dominant triple kill, and the objective is feeding now.
If Decapi-taters don't turn it around here, it's all done for, but Iconic not looking to let that happen. A 1 kill, a 2 kill, make it 3, as the Shatter gives Cryptic something to put on the board of their own. There's no hope of recontest now. It's all stall heroes, not even any ultimates on the side of Decapi-taters to hold on as the Blizzard goes down, as the victory cry for Tempest, turning this around. 3-2 over Decapi-taters, moving on through the Transcendence tier.
Wow. Just absolutely amazing. And, you know, it just shows that no matter how boomed you get in a match, you can always turn it around, folks. Be sure to keep this match in mind as you continue your way through your tiers, because this was just an absolute amazing comeback from the side of Tempest. And you know, I know that we harped on them a lot during the last couple of maps. You know, they just continued to get punished, but honestly, it just could be the fact that maybe they go for those cheeky strats because they're not that great at payload maps, and we see that from teams sometimes. They just don't have that dominant staying power that allows them to be able to take those maps as easily as you see on Control, as you see on Assault. So I'm surprised that they were able to bring that back. You know, being able to keep that PMA up is absolutely huge. And, you know, they brought it all together and took it back in the same dominant fashion that they started the series with.
Yeah, and that was the return to form I was hoping to see. Though it wasn't quite as cut and dry on Village. It showed that Decapi-taters definitely have come a long way throughout this series. But to me, the entire narrative of this was Tempest getting their footing back. We saw them stumble on Eichenwald. There's no other way to say it. They did not do great. But then Havana looked a lot more promising. Even though it was 6-3, that was only really one good push from Decapi-taters. Tempest had a lot of good stuff on Havana that showed that they weren't just completely boomed. And then finally, coming back full circle, return to form onto Nepal. That is where Tempest was ready to shine. They had been consolidating their energy, ready to use it at the most opportune time, and they found it.
Yeah, maybe that's really what it comes down to. So let's go ahead and throw it all to you there in the chat. Go ahead, let us know your player of the match for this evening. And, you know, I mentioned this name quite a bit, but I gotta give it to Nagisa. Nagi was just absolutely dominant on that Baptiste. And I really wish we would have saw a lot more Ana play there. I do not think that Havana really did justice of how strong of a support player Nagisa is. And, you can be a DPS, you can be a tank that absolutely fills up the kill feed over and over again. But you know what? You wouldn't be there without an absolutely great support line, making sure you don't yeet yourself into death oblivion. So, Nagisa, you're walking away with my player of the match tonight. How about you, Kilo?
Oh, I've got to agree with you right there. It's the supports that let Tempest do what they do. That's the key takeaway from all this for me. But to be honest, it's the 3K at the end that really sealed it for me because I know Nagisa has been consistent throughout all that, but they were matching the snipers pop offs on Havana on Baptiste. That is truly a show of skill that earns my player of the match as well, Nagisa. Oh my word. I can see why Tempest is doing so well in this stage.
All right. Well, folks, we've reached the end of our production day, but we've got lots more Overwatch coming up this week. Tomorrow night, actually, a little bit of a change from what you may know. Flying Lions will still be showing off their skills in the Discord tier, but they will be against a new team, Onyx. We don't know anything about this team. They joined today to replace the Scarlet Lions in the Discord tier. So we have no idea what to expect from this team moving forward. So Flying Lions really have their work ahead of them to be able to try to figure this stuff out on the fly. Coming up next Monday, of course, as always, you have the Iris podcast right here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Tuesday in your Harmony tier, you'll see Koala Kings versus Jersey Boys. And finishing up right back on Wednesday, once again, you'll see Ace Advantage versus God Hand. So, folks, it has been an incredible night. Booth, once again, our amazing producer, wrapping it all together, getting the best angles that you could possibly see. I mean, what would you expect from newly appointed admin and Hall of Famer? Am I right, folks? Am I right? Just blow up that chat. Give Booth all the love that he absolutely deserves, folks. Kilo, anything else before we close out our evening?
Just that I hope everyone has a fantastic night. Make sure to check out all the socials, but I know you're already following twitter.com/OW Tranquility and all of our other amazing sources of Tranquility news. But like you said, I have been Keelan Miles, and well, you have been the magnificent Captain Jack, and this has been the Transcendence tier. Thank you all for watching.